This is where I walk my dog most days, Frankfield Loch. I love it at this time of year because of the sense of spring in the air. You can almost feel it, and you can see it in the buds and the flecks of green leaves on the trees, in the ducks and swans and grebes finding nesting places, in the odd bee flying around. Spring is coming, and after a cold, wet winter, we look forward to it with hope. And we have hope because it's come before. It comes every year. We can rely on it. So we wait with anticipation. But across our city, across our nation, across the world at this time, there are lots of people waiting who don't have a sense of hope, or who have a sense of desperate hope, waiting for news of loved ones, waiting for results of tests, waiting and longing for this isolation to be over, waiting and hoping that things get back to normal, but will they? Waiting without any sense of real hope is hard. And if we find ourselves in that situation, we can identify perhaps with those of Jesus' followers on the day after he died, the day we now call Easter Saturday. We know the end of the story, but Jesus' followers didn't. They thought it had all ended. They were simply waiting for that day to be over so that they could go to the tomb and give Jesus a proper burial. Why did they have to wait? Because it was the Sabbath. For us, Saturday; for them, the Sabbath day, the day of rest. The day in which God had rested from his great work of creation. And now, on that first Easter Saturday, unknown to his followers, the Son of God was resting from his great work of dealing with sin, of taking on himself all the sin and evil and suffering in the world, taking on himself the consequences and the judgment of God on that sin and evil in the world God had created, and defeating it, defeating sin and death and evil and breaking its power. The next day Jesus would burst out of the tomb and prove that death was beaten, that sin was paid for, that the way back to the Father was opened. But on this day, he was resting, and his followers were waiting, almost without hope. But because of the resurrection, because of all that Jesus achieved on the cross through his death, because of the glorious hope that he has offered to the world, all of us who wait with hope or despair may actually find comfort in his presence, in knowing that he can be with us in our darkest times, knowing that he can lead us into a hope and something greater than we can imagine. And so on this Easter Saturday, a day of waiting, a day of rest, a day of anticipation, may you know something of the presence of the risen Jesus and of the hope, the sure and certain hope that he offers to each one and to this world.